understandable English podcast.
Learn English the easy way.
I need to look at flight tickets, Jessica. I need to pack my bags, sell my furniture, and move to a completely different continent. I can never show my face in this city ever again. It is officially over for me.
Good morning to you too, Bryan. Welcome back to the Understandable English podcast, everyone. I see we are starting today with a completely calm, reasonable, and perfectly normal emotional state. What happened this time? Did you wear 2 different socks to the grocery store again?
I wish it was just a problem with my socks. No, this was a verbal disaster of epic proportions. I made a social mistake so embarrassing that I am currently experiencing physical pain just thinking about it. I went to that new coffee shop down the street, the one with the huge glass windows and the incredibly cool staff.
Okay, going to a coffee shop. So far, this sounds like a very normal and safe Tuesday activity.
It was supposed to be normal. The weather was beautiful. I was in a great mood. I walked up to the counter. I ordered my usual iced coffee and I paid. The barista, who was wearing this very stylish vintage denim jacket and looked much cooler than I will ever be, handed me my cup. He smiled and said, "Enjoy your coffee." And what did I say? What did my brain decide to say in response to that simple sentence?
Oh no, please tell me you didn't say what I think you said.
I looked him right in the eye, gave him a huge, confident smile, and said, "You too."
Oh, Bryan, you told the man who was serving you coffee to enjoy his coffee.
Yes. I told the working man, who was standing behind an espresso machine for an 8-hour shift, to enjoy the coffee that he does not have. And I didn't even realize it until I was already walking out the door. The moment my hand touched the heavy glass door, this massive wave of instant regret crashed over me. My entire face got hot. I stood on the sidewalk outside holding my iced cup, seriously debating if I should go back inside, wait in line, and explain to him that I know he isn't drinking anything.
That would have made the situation 10 times worse. You know that, right? If you walked back inside to apologize for a completely automatic reflex response, he would have thought you were actually crazy.
But he probably thinks I'm an absolute idiot anyway. And the worst part is, I couldn't just let it go. Last night, I had one of those awful midnight cringe attacks. I was staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning, just replaying the conversation in my head over and over again. I was analyzing the tone of my voice, the angle of my smile. I built an entire monument out of 2 stupid words.
Well, if you're listening to us right now, please take a second to click the like button and tell us in the comments if you have ever done this. Leave a comment saying, "You too," if you have ever told a waiter to enjoy their meal or told a ticket agent to enjoy the movie. It is so common, but we always feel like we are the only ones who do it.
Exactly. Please tell us in the comments, guys, because it helps you practice your conversational English, and honestly, it will make me feel so much better to read them. I need to know I'm not alone in this suffering. I overthink everything I say, and Jessica, you just sit there smiling at me like a calm, unbothered statue.
I am not a statue, Bryan. I just don't see the point in wasting my mental energy on small, awkward moments. I forget my own social mistakes in about 5 seconds. I just brush it off. You have to realize that the barista interacts with probably 400 people a day. He probably heard 5 other people say, "You too," before his lunch break even started.
But how do you do that? How do you just move on? Do you genuinely not feel embarrassed when you do something silly in public? Because my brain treats a small social error like a major crime.
Oh, I feel embarrassed in the moment, of course. I am human. But I just don't let it ruin my day or steal my sleep. Let me give you some perspective. A few years ago, I was invited to give a short speech at a community event. It was in a fairly large theater, and there were maybe 200 people in the audience.
200 people? Okay, that is already terrifying. I would be sweating before I even got inside the building.
Right. So I am sitting in the front row, waiting for my name to be called. They announce me, I stand up, and I start walking up the little wooden stairs to get to the stage. I was wearing these nice, formal black shoes with a slight heel. Well, as I took the final step onto the brightly lit stage, the tip of my shoe caught the edge of the wood.
Oh no, please tell me you didn't fall down in front of 200 people.
I didn't completely fall to the floor, but I stumbled forward really hard, and in the process of stumbling, my right shoe completely came off my foot and flew backward down the stairs into the shadows. I just froze up for a second. I was standing on a stage in front of a completely silent audience, wearing one shoe, and the other shoe was somewhere in the darkness below me.
Jessica, that is a nightmare. That is a literal anxiety dream that people have. What did you do? Did you run away?
No, I couldn't run away. I had to give a speech, so I just ignored the problem. I walked awkwardly over to the microphone with one foot completely flat on the ground and the other foot elevated by a heel. I must have looked ridiculous walking. I stood there, slightly crooked, and I delivered my entire 10-minute speech about community organization.
I am sweating just imagining that. You stood there for 10 minutes, completely lopsided, knowing your shoe was missing? I would have burst into tears and crawled off the stage. How did you survive that without dying of embarrassment?
Because I realized very quickly that the speech was more important than my footwear. When I finished, I walked back down the stairs, quietly picked up my shoe from under a chair, put it back on, and sat down. And here is the craziest part, Bryan. Afterward, I went up to my friend who was sitting in the third row, and I apologized for the awkward entrance. And she looked at me and said, "What are you talking about?"
Wait, she didn't see the shoe fly off?
She didn't notice. She said she was checking her phone for a brief second when I walked up, heard me stumble, but didn't realize I did the whole speech with a missing shoe. And she was in the third row.
That is impossible. How could nobody notice you standing unevenly for 10 minutes?
Some people probably noticed, but they simply didn't care. They forgot about it instantly. And that was a huge realization for me. We all suffer from the spotlight effect. We think there is a giant, bright spotlight shining down on us every day, and everyone is carefully analyzing our every move, our every word, and our every mistake.
Yes. That is exactly how it feels. It feels like the barista is going to go home and tell his family around the dinner table about the idiot who told him to enjoy his coffee.
But he isn't. The barista is thinking about his own sore feet. He is thinking about what he wants to eat for dinner. He is overthinking his own awkward interaction with his boss. Humans are incredibly self-centered creatures. We are all so busy worrying about how we look to other people that we barely have enough brain power to judge anyone else.
That is actually incredibly comforting. Everyone is just a background character in everyone else's movie. I always assume people have these massive, perfect memory banks for my mistakes. But really, their memory for my mistakes is about 5 seconds long.
Exactly. So why should you dwell on something for 3 days when the other person forgot it before you even left the room? It is a complete waste of your imagination.
I definitely have a habit of using my imagination to torture myself. I create these elaborate alternative universes where my small social mistakes lead to my complete ruin. Like, if I say the wrong thing at a party, I assume everyone in the room suddenly hates me and I will never be invited anywhere ever again.
That is catastrophizing, Bryan. It's taking a tiny piece of awkwardness and blowing it up into a massive disaster. The next time you say something silly, I want you to try a new trick. I want you to literally give yourself permission to be a little bit awkward.
Permission to be awkward? That goes against all my survival instincts. My instinct is to project a completely flawless, charming, and charismatic personality at all times.
Which is exhausting and completely impossible. Just say to yourself, well, that was a weird thing to say, and then force your brain to move on to a new topic. Don't build a monument out of it. Just leave it as a tiny pebble on the side of the road.
A tiny pebble. I really like that. I am going to try to view my you too as a tiny pebble instead of a giant boulder that is crushing my soul. And speaking of leaving things on the road, I want to ask our listeners another quick question. If you are still listening, drop a comment and tell us about the most awkward thing you have ever said by accident. Reading your stories will definitely make me feel better about my coffee shop disaster.
I am sure our comment section will be full of fantastic, relatable stories. And this whole conversation about embarrassment and letting things go is actually a wonderful opportunity to highlight some of the language we naturally use today. We used some excellent conversational phrases that are perfect for talking about our social mistakes.
We really did. It's so funny how emotional our language gets when we talk about overthinking. Like earlier, when I was describing that exact moment, I realized I made a mistake at the door. I told you I felt a wave of instant regret.
Yes, a wave of instant regret. This is a very descriptive, visual phrase. We use it when a strong feeling of sadness, embarrassment, or disappointment hits you very quickly, just like a wave of cold water hitting you at the beach. You usually feel it physically in your body the moment you realize you did something wrong.
You definitely feel it physically. My face felt like it was on fire. And then, when you were telling your amazing story about the stage, you said that when your shoe flew off, you just froze up.
To freeze up. This is a great phrasal verb. When a computer freezes up, it stops working and the screen won't move. When a person freezes up, it means they suddenly stop moving or speaking because they are completely surprised, scared, or embarrassed. Your brain and your body just temporarily shut down.
Which is a totally normal reaction to losing a shoe in front of 200 people. But unfortunately, my brain didn't shut down later that night. I told you that I was lying in bed replaying the conversation in my head.
To replay something in your head. Like replaying a video or a movie, this means to think about a past event, especially a conversation, over and over again. You imagine the exact words, the tone of voice, and the reactions repeatedly, usually trying to figure out what you could have done differently.
It is a terrible habit. And I was so jealous when you said that you don't do that at all. You said that when you make a mistake, you just brush it off.
To brush it off. If you get some dust or dirt on your jacket, you use your hand to lightly brush it off, to remove it easily. In conversation, to brush something off means to refuse to let a mistake, an insult, or an embarrassing moment bother you. You just treat it as something small and unimportant, and you move on with your day.
I am going to practice brushing things off. I need to be more like Jessica. Because right now, my default setting is to completely dwell on something.
To dwell on something. This means to spend way too much time thinking or talking about something bad that happened in the past. When you dwell on something, you refuse to let it go, and it usually makes you feel more upset or anxious the longer you think about it.
Well, I am officially deciding to stop dwelling on my coffee shop mistake. I am leaving it as a pebble on the road. I might even go back to the exact same cafe tomorrow and order another iced coffee, just to prove to myself that the barista doesn't care.
I think that is a very brave and rational step forward, Bryan. Just try to listen to what he says before you automatically reply this time.
No promises, but I will try my absolute best. Thank you so much for listening to the Understandable English podcast today, everyone. We hope these stories and phrases help you feel a little less alone when you overthink your own conversations.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Remember that nobody is analyzing you as closely as you are analyzing yourself. Give yourself permission to be a little awkward and have a wonderfully relaxed week. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, guys. See you next time. I tried to just brush it off when I waved at a stranger who wasn't waving at me today, but a wave of instant regret hit me. I completely froze up, and now I know I will just dwell on something so stupid while replaying the conversation in my head for the rest of the year.
Bryan, we literally just spent 20 minutes discussing how not to do exactly that.